Welcome to this recorded Food Action Group presentation, a summary of the impact of food action groups on local food systems in high-income countries. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm dialing in from today and pay my respects to all elders past, present and emerging. The Food Action Groups project aims to address food security in regional and remote regions of Western Australia. Food security being a situation that exists when all people at all times have physical, social and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and preferences for an active and healthy life. There are 6 dimensions of food security, and within each dimension there are a number of determinants that influence a person's ability to be food secure. For example, at the food availability dimension, we need to make sure that food is available for people in outlets or alternative food networks, and that food is a sufficient price and of good quality. At the food access dimension, we have social support and networks which are important to help people with social access to food, and the distance to outlets in terms of how far people need to travel to access their food. At the food utilisation dimension, we have nutrition, knowledge and cooking skills. So once people have found available food and they've been able to access it, this is about using it in an appropriate way to maximise nutrient needs and prepare food safely. We also have IT or technology literacy, so sufficient access and knowledge to use technology to complete activities such as ordering groceries, finding recipes and interpreting nutrition information. Then we have the stability of the first 3 dimensions: food availability, access and utilisation. This can be impacted by influences such as weather, political factors and economic factors such as fluctuations in the economy, which impact the price of food. The agency dimension refers to the capacity of individuals and groups to exercise control over their circumstances. So people having ownership about the food they're eating and having a voice to shape policies around food security. Finally, the sustainability dimension refers to the food system practices that respect and protect the ecosystems. So these are those practices that contribute to long-term regeneration of the environment to ensure that people's current food needs are met without compromising food needs for people in the future. As you can see, food security is a complex problem and addressing it requires a collaborative and dynamic approach. And food action groups are one potential solution to improve food security issues in regional and remote communities. Food action groups are a mechanism to bring together stakeholders that work across the food supply chain to co-create solutions to local food problems. These types of groups, often known as food policy councils or local food partnerships, have been operating for around 20 years in countries like the USA, Canada and in the UK. Some examples of stakeholders that are often a part of food action groups include people from agriculture, health, education, government, social services, emergency food relief organisations, retailers and community members, among others. And these groups may work to address issues across the whole food supply chain or focus on one particular part, such as food access. They may operate at a state or local level, be embedded within government or separate to. They may be volunteer run or employ paid staff. It really depends on the local context and community needs. Our team wanted to learn more about the work these groups are involved in, so we conducted a scoping review to explore the impact these food action groups are having on local food systems in high-income countries in urban and non-urban regions. As a part of this process, the team conducted an extensive search of peer-reviewed journal articles and grey literature, including annual reports from food action groups that were published between 2002 and 2022. The initial search yielded 324 documents. Of these, 78 described activities undertaken by food action groups, but did not include evaluated evidence of their impact. Ultimately, 31 documents that provided evaluated evidence of the group's impact were included in the scoping review. Analysis of these documents indicate that food action groups are positively contributing to food systems globally. Food action groups are creating this positive impact by engaging in a diverse range of activities which span 6 key food system domains. Most documents in our review considered activities relating to food system equity, highlighting this as a common area of focus. 16 documents reported on activities that influence knowledge of or demand for healthy food. About 1/3 of the documents evaluated efforts aimed at improving access to healthy food. 10 documents included evaluations of activities that contributed to environmental sustainability outcomes. Meanwhile, activities with evaluated impact on food system resiliency or economic development were reported in a smaller number of documents. Some examples of food action groups activities include increasing food system equity through decreasing reliance on, but also improving the quality of charitable food. This may be in the form of a social supermarket, a more dignified approach to charitable food, where people pay a membership to access low-cost food items. They're also improving knowledge and or demand for healthy food through education programs around growing or preparing healthy foods. They're also increasing access to healthy food through advocating to local governments to include food-related objectives in local strategies such as public health plans. They're also enhancing environmental sustainability through surplus food projects or working with restaurants or cafes to try and decrease their waste through award schemes, education and training. And finally, they're supporting food system resiliency and increasing economic development through local food procurement strategies, so getting locally grown foods into hospitals, aged care and prison meals to support local farmers and communities to retain their economic benefit. Our scoping review also revealed that majority of food action groups are engaged in a diverse range of activities that address multiple key food system domains. One example of this is Brighton and Hove Food Partnership in the UK. Since 2020, the group have supported the launch of 7 affordable food projects. These projects aim to provide locally sourced, fresh and affordable food to residents living in low-income neighbourhoods. The affordable food projects offer an alternative to food banks by either preventing the need for them or serving as a more sustainable long-term solution to food insecurity. Members pay a small fee and are able to choose the food they want or need from what's available. There is also no time limit on how long someone can access the service. These projects use both surplus and purchase food, and a unique feature of the model is the partnership with the Brighton Food Factory, from which local produce and products are purchased, helping to strengthen the local food economy and support regional farmers. An evaluation of this initiative showed impressive outcomes. In 1 year, £120,000 worth of local produce was distributed to community groups through the Brighton Food Factory. 60% of the beneficiaries reported eating more vegetables. 80% strongly agreed that the food was excellent value for money. Participants' reliance on food banks decreased, and 100% of those who had previously used food banks said that affordable food projects offered a nicer experience. 94% found affordable food projects more convenient, and 88% said the food was healthier and they had more choice. Another example is the Hartford Advisory Commission on Food Policy in the United States. This food action group has led several key initiatives. They created a local food resource map to help residents and community organisations locate grocery stores, urban farms, farmers markets and community gardens. They also supported the development of an urban agricultural ordinance that enables local food production and processing, composting and the keeping of chickens and bees. Recognising transportation as a major barrier to food access for many Hartford residents, the group successfully advocated for the extension of a bus route that connects neighbourhoods in Hartford with a shopping centre in a nearby area. The impact of this initiative was significant. In its first year, ridership on the new route more than doubled, from nearly 5,000 passengers in September 2020 to over 10,000 passengers in August 2021, greatly improving access to supermarkets for local residents. Also, several UK-based food action groups are leading the way in local food procurement strategies, working to get locally grown food into institutions such as schools, hospitals, and aged care facilities. These efforts have led to a range of positive outcomes, including improved nutritional quality of food served in aged care homes, the creation of new jobs within the local food industry, an increase in the volume of locally grown produce used in school meals, and the establishment of a school meal providers framework, which helps ensure that small local suppliers aren't outbid by large-scale food distributors. So overall, our findings demonstrate that food action groups are making a positive impact on local food systems around the world. We identified key areas of impact, including improving food system equity, increasing knowledge and demand for healthy food, and enhancing access to healthy food. However, our study also revealed that evaluated evidence of impact remains limited across the literature. Additionally, we found that majority of food action groups included in our review operated in urban or mixed urban-rural settings. Based on our study, we recommend the following. Food action groups should regularly evaluate their work using existing tools and frameworks to better understand and show their impact. These groups should also be supported in areas where there's a shared interest in tackling multiple food system issues. Working together can help align efforts and make them more effective. Groups can also learn from successful international examples and focus on strategies that fit their local context. For example, local communities might decide that embedding food action groups within local governments could help drive or support food-related initiatives. Finally, we need more research, especially in regional and rural areas. First, to understand which groups are out there, what issues they focus on, and the challenges they face. And second, to assess how food action groups are actually making a difference in rural food systems, especially in high-income countries. Right now, most of the available evidence is based on work in urban or mixed areas, so building a better picture of what's happening in rural and remote communities is important for reducing food access inequalities linked to geography. This brings us to the end of this presentation, which summarises the impact of food action groups on local food systems in high-income countries. We would like to acknowledge our project partners and funders, which are listed here. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions, please email us. You can also follow us on Facebook to keep up to date with the project and head over to our website to access a variety of resources.